Good afternoon. This is World at Noon. My name is Timile Falade. Nigerian chef Uda Bassi has made a historic feat when she broke the Guinness World Record for longest cooking time by an individual. As of noon today, Bassi has cooked for 92 hours to surpass the previous record set by an Indian chef, Lata Tondon, in 2019. The previous title holder cooked for 87 hours, 45 minutes. Bassi started a 4-day cooking marathon challenge on Thursday at the Amaro Gardens in Lagos. The 27-year-old hopes to extend the record till 4 p.m. today. Although state government says it will no longer allow encroachers take over government reservation areas, this is as no fewer than 40 buildings were demolished by the state government for encroaching into the industrial land on Akure-Ilesha Expressway behind Automat. According to the Commissioner for Physical Planning and Urban Development, Lola Fagbemi, and her Lands, Housing and Infrastructure counterpart, Raimi Aminu, the demolition became necessary after a series of notices to the illegal occupants were disobeyed. Osrc Sahid Aribisala has the report.
The expiration of demolition notice served on occupants of the industrial land area behind Automat on Akure-Ilesha Expressway. Government has matched its words with actions. The demolition team, led by the Commissioner for Physical Planning and Urban Development, Lola Fagbemi, alongside her counterpart in the Lands, Housing and Infrastructure Ministry, Rahimi Aminu, came early on Sunday morning to effect the order. The conversion of the land allocated for industrial purposes to residential, according to the Ondo State government, if not forestalled, would be inimical to the urban renewal effort of the state government.
Government land that was designated as industrial land had been grossly encroached upon, and they've been on this issue for a very long time. This land, this tract of land, was acquired by the defunct Western region governments, and it was designated as industrial land for economic and other commercial as well as industrial purposes. When Ondo State was excised out of Western region, this same place remained as industrial land. And upon the creation of Ondo State on 3rd February 1976, this same land remained as an industrial area.
The Physical Planning and Urban Development Commissioner noted that defiance to lay down guidelines will no longer be allowed.
They have an industrial land there. Nobody can go there and say they want to build a residential house. We've been on this several years, since 2016 or so. They've been giving them notices there that this land belongs to government, that they should quit, even when those buildings were still at a foundation stage. So, but they turned their deaf ears.
In what was described as the first phase of the demolition exercise, no fewer than 40 buildings were pulled down out of the over 100 earmarked for demolition. The government officials enjoined residents to consult relevant agencies of government before embarking on projects.
All those areas had been allocated before 2017, before we came on board as a government. None of those land is allocated by this administration. But government is continuum. We must uphold what others have done. And all the occupants, the legitimate owners that government allocated to, they have their title documents. Government of this portion, though, which we believe that will come to limelight in shortest period. That expansion must come to their headquarters. Akure is the headquarters of Ondo State, and we have very large expanse of land for industrial purposes. Encroachers have gone there. If you ask them, those people that are knowledgeable and reasonable enough, when they approach us, this, we just ask them simple question. Apart from the receipt you got from the land grabbers, do you have approved survey plan? No. Do you have C of O, is title document? No. Do you have building plan approval? No. What do you have? Nothing. Other encroachers from other residential estates, even to Ondo, to everywhere, government is set to take back the possession of their lands. And that one, during acquisition, acquisition entails so many things. Advertisement, gazetting, valuation, payment of compensation and acquisition. Payments were legitimately paid. In fact, we discovered that the Harrowhead man in that area swore to fake affidavits trying to get judgment against us. But we discovered that, in fact, when we checked the archive and checked the record, it was the first person to collect compensation with his photographs, with his 3 name correct.
Some of the affected occupants, however, claimed to have approved plan by government.
We have some people on the sea of we have some people that want to pay public not but Baba not that. Don't you say in the family or not that.
The aggrieved individuals have staged a protest at the palace of the Deji of Akure, seeking the monarch's intervention over the matter. Sahida Ribisala, Osrc News.
In a bid to curb nonchalant attitude to public hygiene and enhance a cleaner environment across Ondo State, authorities have commissioned a dedicated magistrate court. Speaking at an event, the Chief Judge of the state, Justice Olusegun Odushola, explains that the judiciary has the capacity to influence environmental protection through enforcement of laid down rules and regulations. The report is presented from our studios.
In 2022, no fewer than 2,500 environmental cases were prosecuted in Akure, the Ondo State capital. It is therefore in a renewed bid to further clamp down on offenders and further give life to environmental laws as contained in public health law and bylaws that necessitated the establishment of the new magistrate court.
I'm commissioning this duty in the name of the Father, Amen. The Son, Amen. And the Holy Spirit.
Chief Judge of Ondo State, Justice Olusegun Odushola, said the judiciary can put residents on their toes by prescribing stringent punishment for lawbreakers and enforcing relevant rules and regulations. While commending Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu for his efforts aimed at evolving a neater Ondo State, the Chief Judge also noted that the court will assist the State Waste Management Authority, ZL Global Alliance and other relevant agencies in discharging their assigned duties more effectively. Odushola equally called for a replication of the facility in the other 2 senatorial districts so that the Sunshine State can regain its enviable status as one of the cleanest throughout the Federation.
This is a clear manifestation of their commitment towards having a clean society and a disease-free environment in Ondo State, which no doubt the establishment of this court will enhance. I believe everyone here knows the importance of having a serene environment and our waste properly disposed. Our environment must be protected by law. Hence, there is need for more courts like this to be established. A strong, independent, transparent, and a well-resourced judiciary is imperative for protecting our environment and upholding the rule of law.
Ondo State Commissioner for Environment, Mr. Sunday Akinwalire, said the court will serve as a constant reminder that there are consequences for every action and inaction as far as the environment is concerned.
Send this signal to our people across the state that henceforth, since there is an establishment of the court to treat offenders, they should beware. Don't say that we are after you, we are doing this or that. So very effectively, once again, know that Ondo State will become very good.
Representative of ZL Global Alliance, Mr. Toby Benjamin, and the General Manager, Ondo State Waste Management Authority, Mr. Adefola Omowole, described the birth of the Magistrate Court as a right intervention in the nick of time.
We want a situation whereby the state can make maximum use of these courts to actualize the goal of zero tolerance to indiscriminate dumping into canals, media separators, and other places.
If we really observe what has been happening in our environment, lately we have been seeing a lot of bastardization of the environmental quality that we used to have. And if we are going to arrest that, it is important for us to have a facility in place that will be able to properly adjudicate over environmental cases.
Other stakeholders have the belief that with the facility on ground, people are bound to do the needful so as not to face the wrath of the law.
State governments have halted the plan by the federal government to cede the feeding and caring for inmates in custodial centers to states. The governments of Oluwarotimi Akeredolu in Ondo State, as well as his counterparts in Ogun, Gombe, Delta, Borno, Osun, and Rivers, argued that the federal government should review the current revenue allocation formula to put them in a better financial position to shoulder the proposed responsibility. The states claimed that they were managing to survive and would not be able to shoulder additional responsibilities. The states gave their positions against the backdrop of Minister of Interior Rauf Aregbesol's statement that the federal government would stop feeding state offenders in custodial centers across the country from January 1, 2024. Aregbesola also said state governments must include the feeding of the inmates in federal facility in their budgets till they build their custodial centers. Policemen have stormed the Lagos apartment and shrine of Seun Kuti in Ikeja area of Lagos for the musician's arrest. This follows the Inspector General of Police order over the assault on a policeman by the musician on the 3rd Mainland Bridge, Lagos. Efforts were being made to apprehend Seun, who is suspected to have gone into hiding. Meanwhile, rights activist and lawyer Femi Falana confirms that Seun has sought his legal service following the order for his arrest. Falana added that the embattled singer will turn himself in today. The National Drug Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) says it has arrested 218 suspects with 5,100 kilograms of illicit drugs in Kaduna State. According to NDLEA Commandant in Kaduna, Ibrahim Braji, the suspects comprise 206 men and 12 women, stressing that the figure represents both drug dealers and users. The commander said the seized drugs included cannabis sativa, heroin, cocaine, tramadol, and other psychotropic substances. He added that the commander so far prosecuted and secured conviction of 25 offenders, while advising parents to be vigilant and monitor their wards to protect them from being involved in drug abuse. Braji urged citizens to contribute towards building a drug-free society for sustainable social and economic development. Troops from 21 Armored Brigade Bama had uncovered an underground armory belonging to Islamic State West African Province of Forest, Borno. The troops discovered the armory with arms and ammunition when they invaded Ukuba camp in the fringes of Bama local government area of the state as part of ongoing counter-terrorist operation. Several variants of rocket-propelled grenade tubes, SMG rifles, double-barrel guns, 50 hand grenades, among clearing the. No fewer than 80 officers and men of the Nigerian Immigration Service (NIS) have gone on trial for indulging in collection of illegal fees for the issuance of new passports and renewal of old ones. The Service Public Relations Officer Tony Akuneme, who disclosed in Abuja, also stands in the last 1 year. He said the disciplinary measures under the passport reform was part of the 3-point agenda of the present Comptroller General to try to either engage or sabotage the reform process. He urged Nigerians to desist from patronizing agents and always fill the forms themselves. The daunting task before the incoming administration of the President-elect Bola Tinubu is how to unite the country as well as ensure the devolution of power. Former Governor of Ondo State Olusegun Mimiko, who stated this, said Tinubu must carry through the ongoing economic reforms of the present administration, such as a cashless policy and the removal of subsidy on fuel. Mimiko spoke on the topic, good governance and accountability, setting the agenda for Nigeria's incoming administration at a forum in Lagos. According to Mimiko, unlike the Muhammadu Buhari administration, on national issues in which national consensus has been built, such as state police, devolution of power, subsidy removal, among others. Mimiko also called for policy implementation that will ensure the creation is concerned that federal government was seeking to spend the loan when it has barely 2 weeks to leave office And while the project objects the planned removal of subsidy on petroleum products, the reason for seeking the loan, the organization threatened to seek legal redress should the World Bank refuse to suspend the disbursement of the loan to the federal government. So, budget deficits by successive and external borrowing. According to Oniha, the trend could have been avoided or at least moderated if revenues had been higher or expenditures lower. She tasked the incoming government of Bola Tinubu to take cognizance of the situation and prioritize increased revenue regeneration. Nigeria's debt profile stood at 46.25 trillion naira in December 2022, recording an increase of about 7 trillion naira from the 2021 debt figures. National Coordinator Aminu Uba Aruna at the flag off of a program in Abuja. She said the initiative was aimed at advocating the importance of girl-child education in Nigeria. The program, which is currently being run in Ekiti, Kaduna, Kano, Katsina, Kebbi and Plateau States, is aimed at encouraging young girls to properly choose their destinies, in which education serves as proper foundation. Finance opposition has secured a stunning election outcome after trouncing parties allied with the party, setting the stage for a flurry of deal-making over the formation of a coalition government in a bid to end nearly a decade of conservative army-backed rule. Sunday's election was the latest bout in the longest-running battle for power between Filthai, the populist juggernauts, of 2 decades of turmoil.
The leader of Thailand's opposition Move Forward Party basked in a huge election win on Sunday. Voters turned out in force behind the two parties, promising big chances and an end to a decade of conservative government led or backed by the military. Move Forward's leader Peter Limrerat described the win as sensational.
To be the manager of that coalition government is still waited to be seen.
His party came close to a clean sweep in Bangkok, riding a wave of support from young voters. It, along with a few Thai parties, surged ahead with more than 90% of the votes counted. Despite what looked like clear results, forming government may be far less so. Parliamentary rules are skewed in the military's favor. They ruled them after the 2014 coup d'etat. So the next hurdle for the opposition parties will be to strike deals and win over members of a junta-appointed Senate who also got a say on who becomes Prime Minister and forms government. The vote in Southeast Asia's second biggest economy marked the latest round in a long-running battle between Filthai, the juggernauts of the billionaire Shinawatra family. The results appear to set Prime Minister Prayuth Chan-o-cha up for a big defeat. The retired general who led the last coup slipped quietly away from his party's headquarters on Sunday.
It's almost certain to go to a runoff, with both contenders adamant they have victory in their grasp. After 20 years in power, Recep Tayyip Erdogan stood on the balcony of his party headquarters, saying he was convinced he would win another 5. Everything appeared to have fallen into place for his opponent, Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, to win, but incomplete results put him behind the president in the first round. Mr. Erdogan is on 49.4% ahead of his rival, who has just under 45%. France has promised to send dozens more light tanks and armored vehicles to Ukraine and provide the necessary training for the country's soldiers to use them effectively. The announcement came after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky flew into France late to join French President Emmanuel Macron for a working dinner at the Elysee Palace in Paris. The visit to Paris was part of Zelensky's whirlwind weekend tour of several key European allies to drum up military and financial support ahead of an expected major Ukrainian counteroffensive against Russian forces after securing a new $3 billion military package from Germany. Zelensky said in Berlin that Kiev and its allies could make a Russian defeat irreversible as early as this year. In Paris, Macron reaffirmed that France will continue to provide political, financial, humanitarian and military support to Ukraine for as long as necessary. A Chinese court has sentenced a 78-year-old U.S. citizen to life in prison on spying charges. John Shin-Wal Lun, who is a permanent resident in Hong Kong, was jailed by a court in the southeastern city of Seoul, but gave no further details of the allegations against him. Lun was arrested in the city 2 years ago by a local Bureau of China's counterintelligence agency. It is unclear where Lun was living at the time of his arrest. And now to sports. The race for the Nigeria Premier Football League (NPFL) hots up today with Sunshine Stars Football Club tackling Rivers United at the Adokie Amiesmeka Stadium, Port Harcourt. Rivers United are currently second on the NPFL Group B log with 27 points from 15 matches, while Sunshine Stars, after 16 games, are 3 points adrift in 4th position. A win or draw will take Sunshine Stars closer to the top 3, caught heading into the last tie at home to 3rd place Doma United. Makurdi's Lobby Stars and the Insurance of Benin have already secured their places in the NPFL Super 6. And still on sports, Barcelona have sealed their first La Liga title since 2019 with 4 games to spare after a stylish win at the home of city rivals Espanyol. Barcelona were 3-0 up by half-time, Robert Lewandowski scoring his 20th league goal of the season before Alejandro Balde doubled the lead. Lewandowski added the third before Jules Koundé's header made it 4-0. Espanyol did reduce the deficit through Prado and Oselu, but remain in trouble near the bottom of the table. Barcelona have 85 points, 14 points, more than nearest rivals Real Madrid with 12 points left to play for. And with that, we conclude World at Noon this afternoon. Thank you for watching.